You're listening to the Awesomeness in Action radio show with your host, Rashana Price, the giver of awesomeness.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Awesomeness in Action radio show. I'm your host, Rashana Price, international author, coach, speaker, and trainer. This show is brought to you by Erie Success. Erie Success is one of our corporate sponsors, which supports individuals and organizations that are looking to grow. To learn more about Erie Success, go to EYRIE-success.com. That's EYRIE success.com. We're also sponsored by Davenport Event Management. Davenport Event Management brings purpose-driven events to life. To get your event to come to life, work with Davenport. Go to davenporteventmgmt.com. That's Davenport Event mgmt.com for more information. All right, everyone, settle in for another great show because today I want to talk to you about transitions. We are now in fall. If you are listening to this, you know that we've transitioned into fall of 2023. If you're listening to this on a playback, we might be in a different season. This still applies to you because seasons come and seasons go. We're in a constant state of transition in life. If you are living, and even when you're dead, there's transitions that are happening. What I want to talk about today is how the seasons start to really help us understand where we are and what is happening. More than anything, what I love is watching the trees change colors this time of the year. Being from upstate New York, I remember you could just start to smell fall. There'd be crisp mornings. Okay, so for those of you who aren't from the north or aren't from a cold climate, crisp mornings mean it's chilly, like you need a sweater or a light jacket, but it's still warm enough and it will warm up throughout the day to where you can shed that later. The crisp morning where you can breathe, where you breathe and you see your breath. You want to bundle up a little bit, but it's not cold yet. It's not bitter. You aren't running to your car like for those that are from the north will do later in the winter season. But in fall, you can smell it. You can smell the crisp morning. You can smell the decay of leaves because they're falling or have fallen off of trees. They are covering lawns. They're in gutters. It's fall. Autumn is the technical term. But fall is what we call it because the leaves fall off the trees. They change colors before they do. So everything that is green and lush in summer starts to turn really bright, vibrant yellows and oranges and red. And then after the brightness, all of those colors dull into browns, and then the leaves, they fall off the trees. The trees become bare. The trees go dormant. So dormant is a different state. Dormant doesn't mean they're dead. No, dormant means they're waiting. It means that they are actually going to start to hibernate. I want to give you the official definition of dormant. The official definition of dormant, and dormant is spelled D-O-R-M-A-N-T, dormant, is having normal physical functions suspended or slowed down for a period of time, in or as if in a deep sleep. Another definition is it's temporarily inactive or inoperative, meaning the trees aren't operating at their high function. This would be similar to hibernation for animals, where things slow down, where the body slows down, where the body cools. It maintains life, the heart beats, blood pumps, but not at a rapid state so that the animals can get through winter. Trees, grass, horticulture goes dormant to endure the winter season. And the transition that we see happens in autumn, in the fall season. Why is this so important? I'm really glad you asked, because I want you to think about when you see the physical transition and transformation of trees and leaves as they fall, what is happening internal is what happens before we actually see the trees change color. Let me say it this way. So if you just watched a tree, if you put up a time-lapse video and you watch that tree in the summer, it would bloom and blossom and get really big and bright green. Then that tree, the bark would start to dull a little bit. That means that the dulling of the bark is creating the dulling of the green. The green is going from vibrant, it's starting to transition to a brownish, then it's going to go to red and orange and yellow as the tree and leaves start to change color. What is happening to the tree internally is its systems, its normal operating systems are shifting. There's a transition happening in the tree that is unseen to the eye, to the naked eye, but what is seen are the leaves changing. This same thing happens to you and I at different seasons in our lives. We transform, we are transfigured, we're renewed, we also can go dormant or inactive, and we might not necessarily know it on the outside, or people that are watching us may not know it on the outside, but inside you know that there's an inside transition that's happening. And there may be places in your life where you're inactive on the inside, but on the outside, it still appears to people as though you're very active. Maybe for you, it's in your job. Maybe you physically every day go to your job. You drive in or you log in if you work from home or have some hybrid schedule. You are on the job, you're in the space, you're on the meetings, but internally, you're checked out. You fake it till you make it, I guess you could say it like that. So people around you don't necessarily notice. But the truth is that you aren't as committed as you used to be. And so you are dormant in your ability to bring activity to the work that you do. Maybe for you, it isn't dormant in your work, it's in your relationship. Maybe you're going through the motions, you're doing just enough, but your energy and your activity has slowed. Your energy and your activity to pursue your partner, to pursue connection, to pursue fun, joy, spontaneity has slowed. It's diminished in some way. And so you are going through a transition, and it might not be seen to the naked eye. Maybe your friends are still saying, oh, you guys are so cute, so amazing. They're giving you all these compliments, and some of your friends may even be comparing their relationship to yours because they only see the outside. To the naked eye, it is unseen, the transition. But internally, it's seen because you know what's happening on the inside. So they may be comparing. They may be saying, oh my gosh, I want my relationship to be like yours. But inside, you've transitioned. And yet they haven't seen it yet. It's like the leaves on the trees haven't yet changed color, but internally you've changed color. You've changed, the inactivity is starting. And so it's only a matter of time before what is internal comes out externally. I want you to think about that. I've been thinking about that. That's why I'm sharing it with all of you. It's been on my heart to be thinking about what is truly active and vibrant in my life and what is dormant, what is inactive, what has slowed its normal activity and its normal pace, and what are the things that I can do to control that, to make a change, to transition it back into vibrant? Or is this a season where I actually need to let some of these things go dormant? They need to be inactive in order for me to be doing what I'm really called to do and focus on what I'm really called to do. After the break, I'm going to share with you a few areas that I've noticed in my own life so that you can think about areas that may be dormant in yours as you now transition into this new season. You've been listening to the Awesomeness in Action radio show. I'm your host, Rashana Price. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back to the Awesomeness in Action radio show. It's me, Rashana Price. Thank you for tuning in, and a big thank you to our sponsors, Erie Success. Go to eriesuccess.com, EYRIE success.com, and Davenport Event Management, Davenport Event MGMT.com for your purpose-driven events that come to life. All right, if you were listening before the break, then you know that I've been talking about this change in season that's happening. We are now officially in fall. So for those of you that were waiting for fall to come, for you to have permission to get your pumpkin spice latte, to start eating pumpkin pie, to start putting pumpkin decorations out, you have full permission. We are now fully in autumn, the fall season, where leaves fall from the trees. Autumn, where we get into harvest time, where farmers that planted in the spring and in the summer are reaping a harvest. This is the time of year where farmers, they go and they get the produce, the crops that they have planted. This is also the time where gleaning happens. So gleaning in agriculture is where there's a second pass through of picking of produce that didn't make the first pass. So when now equipment comes through and harvests, like sweet potatoes or corn or anything else, it goes through and it gets what is readily available, what is on top, what is good fruit and vegetables. And you can't see my air quotes, but think about it that way. It's like the good fruit. It's all of the produce that goes to grocery stores that you and I pick. However, gleaning is what happens after, where typically you have people that volunteer their time or work in the fields to actually go through and pick up what's left, what's dropped, what is still there in the fields that is viable crop. This is what goes to food banks and into manufacturing of other types of things. So a few years ago, my daughter and I, we went gleaning on a sweet potato farm. And when we went gleaning on the sweet potato farm, we ended up getting all of the sweet potatoes and we put them in these big bushels, and there were so many. We picked so many additional sweet potatoes and there were still some that were left. What was left would be ground up and eventually tilled into the land, and it would start to become fertilizer for the next season because they would rot over time. So much extra was left in that season and on the ground. And I just remember that as being a part of this fall tradition, this transition of seasons that happens. One of the ways in which you can start to think about what is dormant in your life is based on what you aren't gleaning. I know you were wondering, how does this go together? It goes together because, as I talked about in the first segment, when trees go dormant, that's when the leaves are falling, when the normal way in which a tree thrives, and even grass, that happens as well. Grass can go dormant, the way it normally lives and functions, and it starts to slow down. That's what happens. It goes dormant. In the same way, fields will go dormant, but before they go dormant, people can still glean good things from them, edible food from them, fruit from them, and your life has to bear fruit. If it is not bearing fruit, there must be something that's dormant, because grass, trees, flowers, anything that goes dormant is not operating at its peak performance. It won't bear fruit. It just won't. And so in my life, there have been a couple of places that I've seen recently that are dormant, that I've been working to kickstart. And in all transparency, the first one is in my physical health. I've been off and on. I've been hot and cold with it. I'm in a transition because my body is shifting. I'm almost 42, and that's not old in any way, shape, or form. However, the life that I live is very active, meaning I drive kids, my children are active in a lot of different things. I have 2 businesses I'm running and operating, all good things. However, what I recognize is I'm more tired, or I get tired easier than I used to. So when I was in my mid to late 30s, I did CrossFit and I loved it. I would do burpees and box jumps and lift heavy bars and do all of that. I still enjoy those types of workouts. I just can't do them as frequent. It's a lot more stress on my body. And the body, if you didn't know this, doesn't know the difference between stress. Stress is stress. When you pound your body, you pound your body. It doesn't know the difference. So when you're pounding your body for physical exercise, and then you pound your body and your mind mentally to be able to grapple with difficult things, or even to be brave, to step out of your comfort zone, to do something you've never done before, that is stressful. And stress is stress is stress is stress in the body and on the body. So in this season, my physical health is what I would call more dormant. It's not at its peak performance because I'm doing more walking. I'm doing more low impact type workouts. Every now and then I'll do a high intensity workout, but for the most part, it's pretty low key. And I've recognized that's a change in the season that I'm in. That's a transition in the season I'm in. And so that's one area where things are more dormant. I'm not producing as much physical fruit. And even my waistline isn't, I gotta eat cleaner in order to keep the waistline the way it's been because of what is dormant in my physical activity. That's one example for you. Another place that is dormant that I've thought about recently is in some of the friend connections that I have. Not all of them, but in some. Recently, I've been thinking about the friends that I have and who I would call friends, and there are definitely tiers to the friendships that I have. I have very close friends who know the ins and outs of everything that's happening in my life. I have friends that are on a next tier where they know when we catch up, they know a lot, like we kind of download and we're in each other's presence. That just doesn't happen that often because life is busy, because we're professionals, just because we're not in proximity to one another. We don't live in the same communities. So we have to pick our times and our spots when we're going to really connect. But otherwise, those friendships are more dormant than my active friendships. And I've recognized that. And then I actually have a third tier of friends that's more annual or celebratory, is how I like to think about it. When we get together for occasions, we connect deeply. It is deep and fast. But when we aren't together and when there aren't these occasions, if we need each other, we're there for each other. But these are not relationships that I'm fostering and constantly connecting with. They just aren't those types of friendships. They actually go dormant and then they come to life, and then they go dormant and then they come to life. You may have friends like that as well, where when it's active, it's active. And when it's not, it's inactive. It doesn't mean the love isn't there. It just means that life is life and it's busy and there's a lot happening and it's good things. And you all give each other room and space. That's how I think about it. Giving my friends and my friends give me the room and space to pursue the things that I know that I'm called to, for them to pursue the things that they're called to, and celebrating from afar, cheering on from afar, supporting from afar. But because we don't live close to each other, actually in the same communities, it's a lot harder. So when we connect, we do. But otherwise, the activity of the friendship is dormant for seasons and times. That's another example for you to think about. Maybe you have friendships that, as I'm saying this, it frees you up to actually embrace the friendship more without the judgment and the, oh, it's supposed to be that we talk all the time. Well, maybe not. Maybe there are friendships in your life that are more seasonal, that go dormant or inactive for times. Because the truth is that to be friends and to be great friends, it requires that. And that's okay. The last place where I've seen some dormant times or dormant things that I can see and point to in my life is the pursuit of what is next. And I say it that way because I've thought about it. So I'm in a season where I don't need to pursue what is next. I'm not chasing after something. There are lots of things that are goals, but they are here and now. They're almost, I think about them as right in front of my face. So if you have your hand, you can take your right hand, you can put it up to your nose, like actually touch your hand to your nose, and then move it out about 4 to 6 inches right here, right there in front of you. That's how I think about where I am in the pursuit of my goals. So there's no need to be in pursuit of what is next. It is a dormant place in my life currently. I can remember when I was like, what's next? What's next? Maybe you yourself are in a season of what's next? What's next? When the truth is that maybe you already have your next. Your next is now. And the goals that you have are right in front of you. And that's what you're pursuing. And the pursuit of next or what ifs, you're not in that season. It's dormant. There's no need. You've got enough of what's in front of you. For me, that's where I am. No need for pursuit of next. I've got enough right in my now. I'm going to tackle some of these things that I have going on. Some of my what is in my now is in relationship to my second book, which I'm writing. I actually have 10 or so different titles and topics of books that I want to write. Some of them are devotional, some of them are more small, quick read. I have a children's book series I'm thinking about. So I've got some things writing wise. And so I'm working on the next devotion. I'm working on the next book, which will be a devotional about flaws and wounds. And my goal is to get it out by the end of November. So I'm working really hard to do that. I need to spend more time doing that. That's my pursuit of now. I'm also starting a foundation because I truly believe and have a heart and want to help nonprofit, small business owners, those that can't afford or even think through what they need from a leadership development standpoint, from a skill development standpoint, to be able to give their awesomeness to the world. They have a mission, they have a purpose, they just need help. And so the nonprofit will subsidize leadership development. And I'm excited about that work. And I've talked to a friend of mine who is passionate and talented, and she's agreed to be the president of the board because creating something great requires there to be people in your corner helping you. And ultimately, the foundation isn't just about me, it's about a community. It's about bringing together people. So I'm very excited about that. And then the last thing that is in my pursuit of now is related to a tour that I'm going on. There's cities that have been marked out and designated, and people are gearing up with the spaces, and registration will be opening soon for these locations. So continue to follow me on IG at Giver of Awesomeness, register for one of the events, and come to learn more about the message that God's given me around kindling. That's right, the KINDLING, the kindling, the small things that it takes for your fire, your awesomeness, your light to burn bright. And what happens when you don't have it? What happens when it goes out? What happens when your fire goes out because you don't have the kindling? So I'm going to be talking about that. No need in pursuit of next. I've got a pursuit of now. And so that's why it can go dormant. My pursuit of next can go dormant. So hopefully today you've had an opportunity to really think about the season that you're in and how If for some reason you are not bearing fruit, perhaps there's some dormant places in your life, because when things go dormant, fruit will not be bared. It just doesn't happen. You can't bear fruit when things are dormant. So sit with yourself, think about it. Maybe even share this recording with somebody else who might be struggling because they're trying to figure out where they are in their life. What season are they in? When you know what season you're in, you can allow for what is happening and changing on the inside to be known and understood, and that evidence of that change will eventually be seen on the outside. Just like as the tree starts to go dormant, preparing for winter, the leaves change colors and fall. That's it for me today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for tuning in each and every week, for listening to the podcast playbacks, for DMing me on IG at Giver of Awesomeness to talk about what you've learned. Please continue to do that, as well as if there's topics you want me to cover, you have questions, comments, let me know. If you have a product or a service that you would like to be advertised, you want to be on the show, I would love to interview you to learn more about how you bring your awesomeness to action in the world around you. Definitely connect with me on IG at Giver of Awesomeness. Until next week, continue to be blessed, and always remember, awesomeness is in you.
Rashana Price, the Giver of Awesomeness. Awesomeness is in you.